Minnesota Vikings be trading for Micah Parsons? Yeah, we are at that time of the offseason. We're going to be talking about trading for Micah Parsons as he had some interesting quotes about him not being too happy with the Dallas Cowboys. And also on the tail half of today's show, we answer questions from Vikings fans as a part of our weekly live show. So welcome in. My name is Patrick Siepman, but also I got some big-time news here for the channel. We got the go-ahead from the bosses. We will be going live for the first round of the NFL draft. So make sure you guys are subscribed. You don't want to miss out. It's going to be so much fun, and I want to make it the #1 watched Vikings draft party on YouTube. So really help me out. Go tell your friends. Send this video to another Vikings fan because we're going to have a party, and it's going to be so much fun to see who the Vikings end up drafting. Will it be a quarterback? Will it be BPA? We'll obviously just have to wait and see. Let's dive into what Shan Sharif had to say. Had this kind of breaking report around Micah Parsons. As they said this, I've heard from way too many people this offseason. I'm talking about at least 4 different people have told me that Micah has worn thin there. I don't know how much is true and how much it actually hurts his reputation. I don't know whether this is the behavior of a typical superstar. I don't know how damaging it is. But all I do know is this. I've heard from way too many people that if Micah Parsons was out there, there would be a decent amount of people inside the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco smiling or breathing a sign of relief. And I just got 3 words for this. Here we go. We got a little drama in Dallas around Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys. And, I can't speak to, how Micah Parsons is within the walls of the Cowboys facility, but I'll tell you what, the dude's a tremendous football player, and if it take the Vikings sending a first-round pick, maybe a first and a second and a third, I don't know what it may be, I'll be all in on bringing in the star edge rusher because I think he's got all-time great potential. I think he's going to be the best edge rusher in the NFL moving forward for the next couple of seasons. Yeah, you got guys like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. They are great, but I think this guy is I think he has a chance to be like the modern-day Lawrence Taylor. I mean, when I watch him play and the way he comes off the edge, the way he bends, how fast, how explosive he is, like if he's just getting more and more reps and just getting more and more experience in the NFL, like I'm telling you, we're going to look up at one of these seasons and be like, oh shit, Micah just set the sack record at 24 sacks in a year. I'm a big-time fan of him. I think he's a lot better in the run game than people get him credit for just because other teams like to pick on him in the run game doesn't mean he's bad. You go look at his PFF numbers, that couldn't be farther from the case. But last season, still very, very effective with 13 sacks and 17 TFLs. And listen, guys, this is unlikely. This is not going to happen. Micah's not going to be coming to Minnesota. But again, you never know. But if he, for some reason, is unhappy and he is not a fan of the way the Dallas Cowboys are running things, hey, Micah, come on home to Minnesota. I would absolutely love it. Bring him in, him and Jonathan Grenard for the next 3 or 4 seasons. I think it could move mountains in the NFC North. So, Micah, if you are watching this and you are available, hey, why don't you demand a trade to the Minnesota Vikings? Maybe we could only get you for a third, but obviously this is unlikely. But, hey, I would be absolutely all the way in. Well, let's kick it to our mailbag section of today's show as Bobby Wags coming in with a question saying, should the Vikes bring in another wide receiver? Good question, Bobby. I think this has been a storyline that's been under-talked about personally by me and other Vikings media members as, the Minnesota Vikings are, I'm not going to say are in dire need of a wide receiver 3. You got still obviously Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison, then you got guys like Brandon Powell and Jalen Nailor, and personally I would lean Jalen Nailor getting those reps this season because I personally think he's got more, I'll just say upside than Brandon Powell, even though I think Brandon Powell is more consistent right now. But overall, I would absolutely love to bring in Jalen Nailor. Shout out to producer Trace. We had a wrong Michael Thomas on there. Had to get the right photo. But here's some free agent wide receivers that are available right now. You got Tyler Boyd. I think he's a little too pricey for the Minnesota Vikings. But I'll tell you what. Any 4 of these names, I actually think would be great additions to this football team. Could you imagine Michael Thomas? I can imagine Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfrow, and honestly OBJ entering this phase of their career where it's they're not putting up the 1,000-yard years that they had in years past. But you're telling me on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, it's Michael Thomas or OBJ against the other team's 3rd best wide receiver. And obviously we know NFL defenses, They love to bring pressure on 3rd and longs. So it's most likely going to be one-on-one, Michael Thomas versus other team's 3rd DB. I mean, I would absolutely love it. Honestly, I'm talking myself into either signing OBJ or Michael Thomas. I think those two guys would be, fantastic for Minnesota. But yeah, I would definitely consider bringing in another wide receiver. Again, I just don't know how likely that is. But Roger Bong coming in with a question saying, what do you think of taking the best QB at 11 and the best CB or defensive tackle at 23? Love this. Great question, Roger. I actually appreciate that a lot. I like it. The only thing is like the best quarterback at 11 is going to be Michael Penix. I think all 4 quarterbacks are going to go in the top 5. J.J. McCarthy's minus 250 right now, according to the bookmakers out west, to go top 5. But I'll tell you what, if J.J. or one of these top 4 quarterbacks fall to 11, and then you're able to get like Jerzon Newton at 23, that would be just best case scenario for the Vikings. So, yeah, I would absolutely love that. If it's Michael Penix, I don't know if I would love it as much. But if it's one of the top 4 falling, Roger, sign me up any day. But we're getting to more questions from the real ones here in a second. But first off, I want to give a big time shout out to today's sponsor. That is Game Time. If you guys download the Game Time app and use promo code ChatSports, we will hook you guys up with $20 off your first purchase. If you guys want to go see a Minnesota Timberwolves game, the Wild, the Twins are back in action, anything that requires buying a ticket, it could even be a music, comedy, or a theater event. If it is near you, download Game Time, use promo code ChatSports, and we will give you guys $20 off. I absolutely love the Game Time app. It's last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, whatever it may be. They have it all. And my favorite part, you can actually look at your view on the app from the seat that you are buying for whatever event it may be. So download Game Time today. Use promo code CHATSPORTS, and you guys will get $20 off. Coming in from Jonah Schumann saying, what are your thoughts on Brandon Aiyuk trade rumors to the Vikings? Number one, I think it is incredibly unlikely that Brandon Aiyuk gets traded to the Minnesota Vikings. And personally for the Vikes, you would have to give up maybe a second, maybe even a first-round pick to get Aiyuk, and then you're going to have to pay him. And what a bigger FU it would be to Justin Jefferson if you go trade for Aiyuk, send draft capital, and then pay him. Number 18 would demand a trade. I think literally the second that trade would go down. So I would be out on trading for Brandon Aiyuk. Great player. Honestly, one of the more underrated players we have in the National Football League. But I just don't think the Vikings have a need for a guy like Aiyuk. Skull Nation coming in saying J.J. McCarthy is going to be a Hall of Famer if he goes to Minnesota and have as much rings as Brady with many. But who do you like the best of the quarterbacks that we can get? So I am going to do a video on this, and I already kind of teased it in our perfect mock draft where I had the Vikings trading up and landing Drake May, but I keep on going back and forth with this because I just think JJ, there's just something special about him. I just like the way the ball comes off his hand. I just like the way he plays the quarterback position, and, obviously he's not going to win as many rings as Brady, but, winning 2 state championships in high school, winning in college, I can see it. I can see J.J. McCarthy hoisting a Lombardi. I always say this, are they confetti guy, in your eyes? Can you imagine them Super Bowl Sunday holding a trophy? I can almost see it a little bit more with J.J. in comparison to Drake May. But again, that's all speculation in my head. That's just kind of me, going off a rabbit hole a little bit. But yeah, I'd be all in on J.J. heading to Minnesota. But Z Cool coming in with the next question saying, with the culture developed in Minnesota being top tier, would JJ, JD, or DM fit the culture and improve it? Great, absolutely great question, Z Cool. In terms of culture fit, JJ McCarthy, no doubt the best option. I can't really speak to, who Jaden Daniels and Drake May are as, people because I've never had any interactions with them. But in my limited interactions with JJ McCarthy, dating back to when he was a freshman in high school, just seems like a class act. It seems like any single time he's in front of a mic at the podium, he handles himself just perfectly, how you would want a franchise quarterback to handle themselves. And I think that stuff matters. And I want to make this point real quick. I don't think people give enough kind of points of emphasis on those Tuesday and Wednesday press conferences where the quarterback's in front of a mic after a bad game, or the post-game press conferences where, JJ, let's just say, he throws 3 interceptions, terrible game, and the Vikings lose. How do you handle yourself? JJ, throughout his career, even dating back to high school, he has been fantastic. And Trace, you actually want to pull up the quote from Dane Brugler. I actually want to share that with them on this show because I saw this quote from Brugler talking about JJ recruiting guys to Michigan, and it's awesome. He said this: before JJ McCarthy signed, he was telling other Michigan recruits that if they wanted to party and chase girls, go somewhere else. His class was going to be the one that restored Michigan. To have that mentality and then go actually achieve it, he's different. And I think that speaks to who he is. Everything is about winning. You know, even back, that was an 18 or 17-year-old kid telling other recruits, if you want to party and go chase girls, go get somewhere else. I'll tell you what, if I was 17 or when I was 17 and I was a top 5 quarterback in the country, that's probably all I would be thinking about is the girls and the party. This kid's built different. He's got a different mindset, and I might be talking myself into it right now on today's show. But, you know, JJ, I would love him in Minnesota. I think he'd be a great culture fit. But next question coming in from Free Real Estate. Should Minnesota target Spencer Rattler? Yeah, I'd be all in on targeting Rattler. I think he's a great quarterback, wicked arm. I think a lot of the concerns about his character are kind of, I think it's an overdated take, honestly, in my opinion. That was kind of dating back to high school. But, you know, he got beat out when he went to Oklahoma by Caleb Williams. So I don't really put too much, juice into that. But I think Rattler would be a great choice in the third round. Vikings go BPA, and then take Rattler. I think it would be a great draft as well. But coming in from Jonah saying, will the Vikings make a deep run in the playoffs with a rookie or a veteran like Sam Darnold? If we're talking about just next season, there is no doubt Sam Darnold gives the Vikings the best chance to win. Just because Kevin O'Connell, and we heard Kirk talk about this a couple times, like, it is a tough offense to pick up on. And I think with Sam Darnold, I mean, that's already what he's doing. He's already learning the offense. We're about a month and a half since he signed. Like, I think it just takes a very long time to fully grasp Kevin O'Connell's offense. And, I think Sam Darnold, I think it would just be a better option for year one. So if you're talking deep playoff run, Sam Darnold would give the Vikings the best chance for just next season. But then you give the keys to the rookie QB that you end up drafting. If you guys made it to the end of today's show, though, first off, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Talked a little Micah and then answered questions from you guys. But if you guys watch the whole thing, give me a skull down below in the comment section so I know who all the real ones are. And guys, like I said at the top of today's show, we're going to be going live for the draft. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Stay tuned for it. I cannot wait. It's going to be a freaking party here on the channel. I'm just foaming at the mouth. I'm fiending for it. I can't wait for the NFL draft. So make sure you guys are subscribed. And we'll see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.